Dentistry in General Radio Network presents Dentistry in General official podcast with Dr. Bob D. In this episode,
imaging is something that everybody needs. And it's not just the dentist that needs it. It's not just the staff that needs it. It's every other part of the dental ecosystem needs access to the images. We want to be the big table that everybody can sit around, whether that's a sensor manufacturer. We work with every single sensor on the market at this point, whether that's AI software, practice management software. We want to work with everybody.
And I just want everyone to understand why Dustin is here, why Sota Cloud is in our group, because I understand that dental imaging is the only thing that I need. I know we need all the analytics and all that stuff, but if I don't have dental imaging, I can't be a dentist. And navigating all these sensors and this equipment, they do it for us.
Revolutionizing dental practices, how cloud-based imaging, AI, and seamless integration are changing the game. Dr. Bob D. interviews Dustin Johnson.
Hello, everyone. I'm here today with Dustin Johnson, the co-founder of Sota Imaging and Sota Cloud Imaging. Could you take a minute or two to tell me about who you are?
So my name is Dustin Johnson. I'm the CTO and one of the co-founders of Sota Cloud. And before I got into dentistry and a little bit of another life, I was working in astronomy and astrophysics, actually. So, I have 2 master's degrees, one in physics and one in software engineering. And I was working doing stellar spectroscopy. So basically analyzing the chemical abundance fingerprints of stars in order to, for a lot of reasons, but let's just say to learn about why they are the way they are. And that part of my background had me doing a lot of image data analysis, data pipeline reduction, working with images at a very low level, let's say. And I got introduced into dentistry actually through my brother-in-law who worked at Sota Imaging at the time. And so he made an introduction to Albert Kim, who is the other co-founder of Sota Cloud, which is a spinoff of that original Sota Imaging company. And I guess, as they say, the rest is history.
Great. I usually tell my followers, a lot of companies claim to do imaging. They have this sensor and they create this imaging that works perfectly with their sensor. But if you bring another sensor to them, it can create problems. Am I correct?
Somewhat. So I think a useful delineation there is that in a lot of ways it comes down to willingness. Historically, the folks that are playing in the imaging market have been hardware companies, and their goal has been to sell you hardware. And so for a very long time, the software that came packaged with that hardware was a proprietary software that only used their sensors for a couple of reasons, some of them valid, right? If you want to integrate another sensor, that adds work to the effort that you have to put into your software product. That's something else that you have to maintain. That's something else that you have to account for risk for. But I think actually a lot of it for these folks is strategic, right? If I can embed my software into your practice, and I can sell you the hardware that I am the manufacturer and vendor of. Once you have my software and my software is managing your images, I've just locked you in as a hardware customer for the foreseeable future. And so I think for the longest time, that was the strategy. And the reason for a lot of the reluctance in integrating other hardware is that when the hardware sale is the core part of your business, it doesn't behoove them to make it any easier for a competitor to come in and take away that many thousands of dollars sale each time that you need a device.
I have always said you can use Sota with anything you want. Am I correct in assuming this generalization?
Definitely. We work with everything. This really comes down, I think, to philosophy, right? We are an imaging system first. And what that means is that we've oriented ourselves in the direction of being compatible with all of the other systems that depend on what is the most fundamental ground truth data that you collect in the dental process, which is your images. Everything else is secondhand. You're putting data in your patient chart, it's secondhand. You're taking notes, that's secondhand. Anything else that you get during the process of doing dentistry is a secondhand, not a ground truth artifact. The image is. So everybody needs images, and we recognize that. When you're doing your insurance filings, when you're working with an artificial intelligence company, when you're working with RCM, when you're working with kind of all of these different systems, they need access to images. So we want to support all of those different systems. The other side of that comes down to your hardware compatibility. We are a software company, first and foremost. And that means we want to work with all of the different hardware vendors out there to give our customers choice. And so our perspective is we will work with anything that we can. And really, at the end of the day, that's beneficial for a couple of reasons. One is that if you find a product out there that's a better value, you have the freedom to move about the market and use that more valuable product to your practice, whether it's because it's of good quality and less expensive, or it's just better features, right? You have that choice. But the other side of this too, and I think this is the direction a lot of the dental space is going in, is we have a lot of customers that are in groups, whether it's 2 or 3 locations or it's 100 plus locations. And actually, I think a lot of dentists are entrepreneurs. And so they have multiple locations or they acquire other locations over the span of their career. And if you buy a location that has a different brand than the location that you have, or than the sensors that you have in your other location, now you have a dilemma. Because if you want these things to work together, you want to make your system of operation more efficient, which of course is one of the core tenets of any business, is you're driving efficiency. And that comes with standardization, right? But those sensors are expensive. Those cameras are expensive. The pano machines you use are expensive. And so you can standardize around Sota Cloud as a software without having to worry about all of the other parts of that system. We'll work with anything. So it's really simplification and value driven by the fact that images are so important to dentistry.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people when they come to me and says, I need a sensor. I'm like, first, decide what software you're going to use. Sensors are commodities. You can get cheap, medium, or expensively priced sensors. And I'm also happen to be a fan of the Sota Clio Prime, which is the old Dexus Platinum. But again, you don't have to get that to use Sota Cloud Imaging. You can have any sensor that you have. I want to try to see if you can share your screen and show me a little bit of how this whole thing works. And then I want to spend a couple of minutes on the new feature that you and I have talked about that is very exciting to me.
Yeah, so what I'll do, I'll try to keep it just a couple of minutes here, and I'll give you a few different kind of perspectives on the software, okay? And you can let me know when we're streaming here for you. Perfect.
Good.
All right, so this is Sota Cloud. I'm not going to go through every bell and whistle. This would turn into a 3-hour video probably if I did that. But I want to highlight a couple of quick things. So the first thing is that when we built this product, the very kind of foundational goal was to make something that's easy to use, that's efficient, that saves people time and frustration, right? Imaging is something that everybody touches constantly through the day. We do things like label buttons. It's almost unheard of in dentistry, but here we are, okay? So let's go ahead and let's take a 4-byte-wing series. So we're a template-based system, but our templates are flexible. You can use different kinds of modalities. You can use cameras, everything in one exam. I'm going to use a demo device. The demo device is going to work exactly like a real sensor, okay? You're going to see this turn.
Yeah, Dustin, you did something that was really important that you went really fast.
Yeah.
Once this is done, I want you to stop on that drop down and show people how many devices are there.
Sure. Yeah, so I just want to say one thing before I click that drop down again. When we talk about interoperability, this little green spinner that you're seeing down here is not an upload indicator. These are uploaded, they're in the cloud. That's actually your Pearl AI analysis processing in the background. So these are already in the cloud. Now, you're right, I clicked on this and we had a lot of devices in here. And really what that comes down to is, again, just our commitment to working with everything that we can in the market and giving you as a dentist choice in the products that you use.
And what he's doing is basically removing one of the pain points for every dentist out of the equation. Once you have Sota Cloud, you can rest completely and not think about imaging.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to highlight really quickly as well, this is a cloud solution, but performance was the second quality attribute. Obviously, we released this product in a time when everybody was going through a lot of change, right? We launched this product right after kind of COVID was a challenge. And as when the market assistants were turning over left and right, you had a lot of folks retiring, a lot of new folks coming in. So you can look at Sota Cloud and understand immediately how it works. And that was really key to us. So it took 3 clicks. I just want to highlight for me to take all 4 of my bite wings from the point that I was on the home screen. I just want to highlight that key thing. So you'll notice here that we've got an image with carries. Let's go ahead and open this one. Maybe this isn't the best example of what Pearl can do for you as an AI product. But again, that experience is embedded within Sota Cloud because we want to be interoperable with every other system that we can out there. So we've taken our images here. I want to highlight just really quickly a couple of the new features that we've talked about. The first one is our new referral system. So what I'm going to do here is just go through a simulated referral scenario. We're going to do an internal referral within our organization. It's the same thing. By the way, if you're sending this to a person who doesn't have Sota Cloud, they get the exact same experience through a magic link that they can sign in their email. Okay. So we're going to pick a practice that we want to send to. We're going to pick a practitioner that we want to send the patient to. All the patient information came through the practice management integrations. They're in the loop the whole time. They're not dropping their referral slip on the kitchen counter and then losing it as they do and forgetting to make an appointment. We're going to go ahead and continue. We're going to do an oral surgery referral, select an extraction. Let's do an extraction of tooth 3. We're going to continue, pick the images that we want to include. And I have something very exciting to show you when I get to the end of this that will be included also in this process as well. I'm going to go ahead and open up, go to continue. At this point, I can attach any files that I want. So I could attach, for example, a 3D scan. I could attach, for example, a CBCT. There's better ways to do that I'm going to get to here in a little bit. I could attach lab slips, implant specifications, literally anything that I want to this referral. We're going to go ahead and hit continue here. Now you'll notice that we get an AI generated referral letter. This gives you something that you can start with for the referral. It's completely editable. So if I don't like this part, I can go ahead and just take that out and add in whatever I want. But this gives you something that you can start with without having to type anything. In a lot of cases, it's going to be good enough as is, and you can just send this. But we're trying to save you time. We're reducing the amount of effort that it takes to do your referral. You can also use normal templates if you'd like. So you can create your templates ahead of time and then use those anytime that you do a referral as well. And I'm going to go ahead and send this. Now, at the end of this, I can print this out and hand it to the patient if I want, but you don't have to. They're actually going to get an email and a text message. Those are going to include a link, a code, and basically using that, they can go to a secure patient portal and sign in and get all the details of their referral through that. That's going to include all of the information that they need to follow up on the referral, including what to take to the appointment, where they're going, what the reason for the referral is, everything, as well as the images that are being sent to the receiver of the referral on the other side. Now, the magic here is that the receiver of the referral on the other side is going to get this. So we're going to go into our referral dashboard here. We're going to go to our pending outgoing cases. This is what the receiver of the referral gets. So they're going to, if they're a Sota Cloud user, they're going to get actually a notification on their dashboard that indicates that they have a new referral where they can accept or decline the case. If they're not a Sota Cloud user, they're actually going to get a link in their email that's called a magic link. If you're familiar with how Amazon and banks and all kinds of systems use one-time use magic links to sign you in these days. So they receive basically the exact same thing. And they can view the image in exactly the same way that we are here. They can send you messages about the case. And over time, as you're sending new cases to them, they actually get a complete history of all the cases that they've worked on with you as their partner. Because you're building a relationship there with your specialists that you're working with. All of that's here. They can export these in whatever format they want so that you're not getting a call back the day after you send the referral saying, hey, I tried to import these images into my system, but it's not compatible with the file format that you sent me. Likewise, you're not sharing your files over Dropbox or Google Drive or some of these other solutions that aren't made for dentistry. They're not compliant out of the box. They don't have an association necessarily with a patient record. And then finally, you have messaging. So we can actually send messages to each other here. It'll track who sent it, who received it, when it was viewed. You'll see across the practices, if your assistant sends a message, you'll see that your assistant sent the message. If the receiver of the referral sends a message, you'll see that it was them. And then you're notified and kept in the loop every step of the way here. So that's our new referral system in a nutshell.
So let me clarify this.
Sure.
Once you sign up with Sota Cloud, you not only have imaging, now you have this referral system that the referring the person being referred to does not need to have this. They
Correct.
get it because we are part of it, correct? Is that what it is?
That's correct, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the patient can see it too.
And the patients get a copy too. So if we actually go to what the patient gets to see when we send that, we can go into our share tracking here. And this will sign us in as we're already an authorized user. This is what the patient receives. So they get the full referral letter, basically indicating that we sent them a referral. We don't have it up here in the demo environment, but this is like a practice logo usually. So we would put Bob D's dental practice logo up here, as well as your practice address. And basically, yeah, all of the annotations that we have in these images, including, by the way, if we have a Pearl AI, like you can see here, the patient gets that too. They get everything, which is really neat. And besides the referral part of this, you can actually just send it to the patient if you want to and schedule reminders and all kinds of things. So if you want to increase your patient case acceptance, for example, maybe the patient was a little reluctant to have their treatment today. You can send them some intraoral camera photos with a note saying, hey, if you're not in pain today, you might be in 2 weeks. Here's a reminder to come in. This is what your images looked like today. If you drew on these and you had annotations and arrows and drawings, those will also come through. Okay. And you can schedule those reminders out. So maybe I want to remind them in a month. You can schedule it to send it to them in a month. That's,
when you're talking about magic links, that usually means it is not on anyone's system, but it's on still Sota Cloud system, which is HIPAA compliant, right?
correct. Yes.
Okay.
So it's always within our system. They do get the option when they receive the referral to export in whatever format that they want if they're a practitioner. Okay, so if they're a specialist that you referred to and they want to have a record in their own imaging system of that case, they can also download those in any format that they need to for compatibility with their system. So there's not a back and forth because the images didn't work. If somebody's looking at Sota Cloud and they've never seen it before, is really what we did at the beginning of this, which was taking that 4 BiteWing series. It took us 3 clicks in about 30 seconds. including if we were actually taking the x-rays, that would include your repositioning time for your bite wings. It's an incredibly easy system to use, and it's very fast.
This layout that you have, is that very customizable? I know some offices they want their own templates and things like that.
The layouts, absolutely, they're customizable. Yeah, so we can jump into layouts here. The world is your oyster. You can set your layouts up however you want. Actually, even if you have some picky staff and maybe one particular staff member wants to take their x-rays in a different order, you could even customize around that if that's something that you're okay with. There's a ton of flexibility within the system.
Show me this CBCT thing.
All right, can you see?
Yep.
Yeah, so the gist here is that just like how you can see your historical exams for 2D within Sota Cloud, well, now you'll be able to work with 3D in Sota Cloud as well, okay? So let's go ahead and open up the CBCT. Now, the way that this is configured currently, and there's going to be settings around this when it launches, but I'm going to give you the full experience. This is a fully uncompressed CBCT. This is not a compressed until you've lost all of your data just to make it seem really fast. This is fully uncompressed. This is several hundred megabytes. Okay. And so what we're doing here is basically creating the rendering for your CBCT in the browser. Now, the magic about our 3D system is that it's completely portable. You can run this on anything. You can run this on tablets. You can run this on your thin client computers that you bought 10 years ago. It runs on anything, okay? And it's fully browser-based. So you don't need a gaming computer to quickly pull up a CBCT and walk your patient through a case, all right? We'll start here in the NPR view. You can see here we've got our volume rendering. You'll notice that it's completely responsive, okay? There's no lag or delay in the way that I'm working with this. Likewise, when we're panning through slices, I'm moving my scroll wheel on my mouse as fast as I can here, and there's no delay. So it's completely smooth. Even though you're not on a gaming computer, this performance is the same for every device that you run it on. You can do all of the normal things that you would do. So let's say that I want to go ahead and align to my anatomy here. I can rotate and align and do the things that I need to do in order to prepare this for kind of review. All right. If I want to see where I am, I can load my planes, make sure that I'm in line with my bite, make sure that my center line is correct. All right. And then all of the other things that you're used to having. So you can use your Sota Pop filters in your 3D view, and that doesn't impact performance at all. It's completely responsive, regardless of the fact that we have filters applied or anything else. All of your normal measurements are here. Everything that you're accustomed to when you open up a CBCT or you're showing a patient, we've got all of that kind of baked in here. And if you want to see anything bigger, it's just a simple matter of doing a maximization there. So that's the basic NPR viewer in a nutshell, okay? Now, the more critical thing, something that everybody wants to be able to do when they open 3D and just in general, is the cross-sectionals. So we're going to go ahead and go into our cross-sectional workspace here. Unfortunately, in the pre-release environment that I'm in, actually, I don't have in this environment the auto curve, but when we launch this, you'll have auto curve. For today, I'm just going to go ahead and draw a few points. And we've generated a pano, okay? Just what you're used to in your on-prem software, we can go ahead and increase our slice count. So you can see here we've got our slices. We can go ahead and pan through those. We can adjust our spacing, we can adjust our slice height, width, all of the normal things that we're kind of accustomed to, okay? And really where we're going with this, and the problem that we're trying to solve with this initial release, is first and foremost, you don't need to have a special computer to review your CBCTs. You don't have to burn these things to a disk in order to share them. All of the sharing functionality that I showed you earlier also applies to CBCT. So when you're sending your patient to a specialist, they have the CBCT viewer. They're going to receive that just like they receive the 2D image viewer in the patient share or in the specialist share that I showed you earlier. And what we've found is that in talking to some of the folks that have seen this, as an oral surgeon, for example, or as somebody who is placing an implant on referral, most of these guys don't even necessarily want to download their CBCTs. They want to do a couple of measurements really quick when they receive it and then get to work. And so we're not only empowering the folks that you work with in a way that's going to make them like you more as somebody who's sending them referrals, but we're also helping that patient experience because there's not as many problems around getting the data that we need in order to treat them to the people who need it, all right? And then finally, if you're working in a group environment and you have maybe an imaging center where not every location has a CBCT, if you've got maybe a 5 or 6 location group, a small group, and you're still growing and don't want to necessarily put down tens of thousands of dollars for a CBCT at every location, you can take the CBCT at the location you do your imaging at, and then instantly, once it's taken, it's available at all of your other locations. So they're not having to play cat and mouse trying to get their data back and forth. And so we're solving a lot of problems here in the way that this communication is done. And then finally, when you go to download this file, out of Sota Cloud and use it in another system, you can rest assured that it's going to work with that other system. Which right now, when you're sharing these very large, clunky, cumbersome CBCT files, that's not always a guarantee. Sometimes they also need to download like a special viewer in order to open up that volume. So we have the special viewer built in, and then if you want it, you just know it's going to work with your system.
So you download the DICOMs and then you import it into your implant planning, for example.
That's correct. Yes.
Excellent. This is great. One of the things that when you were telling me about this was this share function. It's very important because as I'm taking the CBCT and then I'm going to send it to the oral surgeon, sometimes they can open it, sometimes they can't, and they get frustrated and they take another CBCT. So
that's right. And that's bad for the patient. That's a lot of dose. By the way, there's a couple more tricks we have up our sleeves that we're going to be releasing with. I haven't let the whole cat out of the bag, maybe just the first half. Okay. But as we're going on in the future, this is where a large focus of our development effort is going to be, is around the 3D workflows, because as we're seeing that roll out in the market, 3D right now is the thing that is still growing. We've completed, I think, at this point, the transition to digital dentistry in general. And now we are moving into kind of 3D as the new territory. And I think for a lot of doctors, that's really intimidating because the systems and the tools that are out there today are really cumbersome to learn and to use. And so the approach that we're taking is, let's keep it really simple at first. Let's solve a lot of the major problems at first. And then as we're rolling out some of this new functionality, we want, for example, our implant planning module to be just as intuitive and easy to use as the rest of the system. If you take a look at some of the user interfaces of the 3D softwares that are out there today, it's almost, and as much as I wish I could be the designer of a system, it really takes somebody who's done a lot of due diligence on the user experience to make sure that's working in a way that's easy and efficient for the.
That is great. And I also want to tell people that this is still a very useful feature because you still need to back up your CBCTs. Right? If you're acquiring the CBCT in your office, now you have to back them up because there's always failure of equipment. So at the moment, the CBCT in the cloud, the way I've been using it, the way you are explaining it is backup, diagnosis, and simple measurements. Mm-hmm. And if you need to use it in your favorite implant planning, you could be at home, download it into your computer, plan it there, and do what you need to do. With the thinking is that implant planning is also coming, and you can always have that choice. Use Sota Cloud implant planning or download it and do yours. That this is the plan, right?
Absolutely. And even with what we're releasing today, which again, I haven't shown kind of everything, but when we launch this, what we found is that a lot of folks that are doing implants, especially if they've done a lot of implants, they're not using implant libraries. They're doing measurements and then they're getting to work. And so we think that for a lot of those folks, even this will be a solution that gets used just because it's easy and quick. But yeah, certainly you can, if you're on vacation and you, for whatever reason, decide that you want to start planning the implant that you have to do on Monday morning, you can do that from your home office.
Yeah, I actually give you a real world scenario that has happened to me a few times, is that I don't like to keep a big collection of implant sizes. They're expensive. And with the shipping being so fast, I'd like to be able to order it a week before. And sometimes my office manager forgets and we don't have the measurement, right? I'm at home or I'm on vacation. So if I have access to that, I can quickly measure and at least know what to order or what to order to have a backup, right?
That's right.
And this is very useful. It actually saves me a lot of headaches. But hey, I want to thank you for doing this today. And I'm hoping that we can do more when this goes live. In a couple of months, you said that CBCT planning, correct?
Yeah, I'd be happy to come back and talk with you some more.
Great. And I just want everyone to understand why Dustin is here, why Sota Cloud is in our group, because for me, after 32 years, I understand that dental imaging is the only thing that I need. I know we need all the analytics and all that stuff, but if I don't have dental imaging, I can't be a dentist. And navigating all these sensors and this equipment, they do it for us. Anything else at the end to add?
Yeah, and that's the core mission, again, is that imaging is something that everybody needs. And it's not just the dentist that needs it. It's not just the staff that needs it. It's every other part of the dental ecosystem needs access to the images, basically. Right. And just as a closing kind of statement here, we want to be the big table that everybody can sit around, whether that's a sensor manufacturer. We work with every single sensor on the market at this point, whether that's AI software, practice management software. We want to work with everybody. And that's good for everybody. when we have that kind of interoperability. And I think just as a closing statement, that's where we're at. And by the way, one part of this is that as you're going through the choice of moving potentially to a cloud imaging solution, we can also convert all of the databases in the market. So if you're using a legacy on-premise system and you're ready to take the next step for your practice or for your group, we can convert that data for you. So you're not losing anything, and we make that process easy.
That's important. When he says that, I'm going to translate, is that there are a lot of companies that do not have the capability of doing that. There are some imaging companies out there that use proprietary file system that becomes very difficult to learn how to do it, but these guys have had a lot of experience among themselves to do this.
There's a lot of growth pain there. We actually went through 3 versions of our conversion process or before we got to where we are today. And our conversions now happen before you go live in a matter of a couple of days. It's very fast and easy at this point.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, thank you very much for being here today. So hopefully we can do this soon again.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. I appreciate it.
This has been a production of Dentistry in General Radio Network. Visit our website, dentistryingeneral.com, to join engaging clinical and business conversations, explore our dental podcasts, and stay updated on our upcoming live events.